Okay. Good afternoon, Rana. We are now uh, ready to discuss on agriculture and nanotechnology. Today I shall use uh, English as well as Bangla for your better understanding. In agriculture, nanotechnology is considered one of the future technology or emerging technology because it is still under experimental or field trial based, not yet heavily been used worldwide in the field of agriculture. And new innovations in nanomaterial production are very promising. Innovation is urgently needed to meet the agricultural challenges associated with population growth, climate change, food security. These are very important challenges in front of us. One is population growth. Another is climate change. So if population is increased uh, dramatically, then you have to produce more food to ensure the security, food security. And it is estimated that the world population will be increased 9.7 billion by the year 2050. So we need to increase our crop productivity 70 to 100% from now. Another big challenge is climate change. Climate change is posing a serious threat to agricultural productivity. Drought, salinity, heat stress, cold stress, lots of new biotic and abiotic stresses. That means new disease emergence also posing a new threat to agricultural productivity. Therefore, to ensure food security is really challenging. We need some innovation, innovative technology to make a second green revolution. Nanotechnology represents an opportunity to improve agricultural productivity and yield while ensuring sustainability. To this end, researchers are working closely with industry and collaborators across globe to develop novel nanotechnology solutions, including the design of smart nanomaterials to substantially improve crop fertilization. In our earlier lecture, we discussed in crop fertilization how we can use nanotechnology to improve the efficiency of the applied fertilizer. Reduce pesticide use, because pesticide use to control the major insect and other microbial pests, we are pouring lots of synthetic chemicals to the agricultural field and they are damaging our environment. So how to reduce the pesticide is an important question in agriculture, because we must reduce the use of pesticide not only for decreasing the production cost because they are expensive, but also to reduce uh, their residual effect in environment, as well as the produce food, because the food we are using uh, are largely contaminated with toxic pesticide. As a result, they are slowly poisoning us, causing different health hazards. And we need to improve water management. In our country, it is very, very important. We are using 3 to 4,000 liters of water for production of 1 kilogram of rice. So this is another very important target. In the coming years, availability of water would be decreased due to climate change. About 30% will be decreased. So uh, to get to reduce the water use in crop production, that means to increase the water use efficiency in crop cultivation, nanotechnology could be a tool. Researchers are also exploring nanotechnology applications that will advance the way to treat and vaccinate livestock, because livestock, poultry, they are very important for our nutritional security. So vaccination, disease diagnosis of the animals uh, are very important. We are now heavily rely on antibiotics. Antibiotics, magic bullet to treat any disease, but antibiotic resistance is becoming prevalent, and it is a big threat uh, for human health as well as animal health. So natural nitrogen circulation in soil decreases the efficiency of fertilizers due to leaching, runoff, and emission of nitrogen. You know it very well. When we use urea fertilizer in the uh, rice field, leaching, runoff, emission to gaseous nitrogen like ammonia or nitrogen gas, a big proportion of the applied fertilizer is lost. Frequent fertilizer application leads to enormous economic cost because fertilizer is expensive, and arises concerns on the nutrient pollution. If leaching and runoff is increased, they are pollute the environment and cause eutrophication, that is, water body is polluted. The emission of greenhouse gas, that means different nitrous and nitrogen oxides and nitrogen discharge into water body, have severely influenced local environment and global climate. It has been aimed to develop novel fertilizer amendments for agricultural application. How can we do it? Engineering a new generation nano clay materials. This is very interesting. Clay particle in the soil, clay particles are the smallest size particle, and that hold the essential nutrient element. So if you can engineer a new generation nano clay materials with high exchange capacity as nutrient absorbers to prevent nitrogen loss, that would be very interesting. If we can make nano clay materials and apply it into the soil, then they can absorb the nitrogen ions and not allow to loss through the leaching. Develop efficient fertilizer formulations by achieving the sustained release of nutrient from absorbers. I told you, if we can make nano encapsulation of the fertilizer, then fertilizer would be slowly released, minimizing the emission of nitrogen into atmosphere and water body to address the pollution problems. So these are the biggest three targets, and scientists all over the world are working on these three directions, and there are significant progress. Here you can see these are the clay sheets. Possibly you have studied in soil science how clay particles, lattices are arranged, different kind of clay lattices, sheet-like structure. Sheet-like structure can hold, between the two sheet, they can hold the nano particle. You see, these are the nano particles of fertilizer. Red dots means nanoparticles. And then fertilizer cannot be leached out. But for example, ammonium ion or nitrate ion. And they can, these ions can be exchanged through cation exchange process. Cation exchange phenomena, CEC, is very important mechanism of plant nutrient uptake. So this is a really very interesting idea, and scientists have developed some clay nanoparticles. And clay nanoparticles, they are basically, negatively charged, and they can absorb tightly absorb the cations like ammonia. In that case, exchange cation from the root, a root release hydroxyl ion or other ions, protons, to exchange the cations, protons and ammonium, then exchanged and plant can uptake it. So nanomaterials for agricultural fertilizer amendments, this is one of the important strategy nanotechnologists are taught. So this is a very important topic for you. So please read in your book uh, how nanotechnology can be utilized for better nutrition of crops, because you must apply nutrition, otherwise you cannot get yield. And nutrition, mainly we use nitrogen, number one, major nutrient element, essential nutrient element. We use phosphorus, we use potassium. Potassium also can be, absorbed like this way. And we use NPK and other essential nutrients like zinc, sulfur, and recently boron in Bangladesh. So other micronutrients are becoming necessary because due to intensive agriculture, we are producing 3 crops per year. As a result, even micronutrient content in some soils are depleted. We need to apply them, although they need very small quantity, but they are essential for the productivity or completion of the life cycle. So in this concept, do you have any question?
No, sir.
Is it easy for
I
you
understand.
to understand?
Yes, sir, I understood it.
Okay, if you understood well, then I can move next topic. Biomolecules with clinical significance are most often various forms of proteins and peptides at very low concentration in biological system. So biomolecules, how we can, especially proteins and peptides, they are present in the cellular system, and they are very, very important for biological system. Quantitative analysis of them is a big challenge due to the complexity of biosamples, but essential for diagnosis and clinical applications. Researchers are now focusing on developing novel approaches for the sensitive detection of trace amounts of biomolecules using state-of-the-art nanotechnology. So here you see iBurn. These are prepared by using biomolecules. This visualized by using nanotechnology. Here we cannot see a different megahertz visualization technique can visualize the molecules. So if even in the cell and tissue or blood samples, if we want to visualize, for example, hemoglobin or certain amino acid, or the presence of a complex of vitamin D or calmodulin-like protein, nanotechnology would be interesting. And that based on the biomolecules present there, we can understand the deficiency or excessive presence of certain biomolecules in the biological samples. So imaging of samples, invisible micro patterns of trace amounts in the samples is another important tool. Even we can visualize biomolecules in the root tissue or plant tissue or animal tissues or even human tissues. And that would be used to, uh, for clinical purposes or diagnosis of the diseases, because For certain diseases, certain metabolites and toxins are produced. So if we can visualize them, that would be fantastic. And this visualization technique can be used for detection of certain pathogen in the, our uh, animals as well as even food materials. So food safety, also this type of imaging technology can be used to ensure the food safety. Another important area, the large area of Earth is the driest inhabited continent on the Earth, is regularly subject to prolonged rainfall deficiency. Even in our country, in some season, drought is a big problem. Increased surface water, uh, salinity is another big problem in south belt of Bangladesh. Water bodies contamination due to salinity or some other contaminants, decontamination, desalination, and separation technologies has captured great interest as the alternative way to augment the available water resources. We are developing, scientists are developing new strategies to prepare low cost and high performance nanomaterials or nano devices for water pollutants. In Bangladesh, heavy metal ions, especially in large proportion of Bangladesh soil, is contaminated with arsenic. Arsenic contamination, heavy metal, some places, other heavy metal like lead or cadmium is a big problem. So uh, uh, to detect their presence as well as their toxicity level and remove them from the soil, or saline water, if we can make desalination, uh, that is non-saline, it would be a big discovery. Scientists, especially nanotechnologists, are working very hard to make saline water into non-saline, because the earth is full of water. 75% of the earth's surface is covered with water, but most of the water are saline, marine water. They are not useful for terrestrial organisms, our agriculture, or even for our drinking purposes. If we can remove the ions which is responsible for salinity, then it would be a big breakthrough and water scarcity will be removed. Here you can see, these are the nanomaterials. If nanomaterials absorb the ions of sodium and chloride and precipitate them from the water by some ways, then you can desalinize water. And heavy metal, if you make some metallic nanoparticle using iron or other magnetic substances, or some substances that absorb or precipitate the heavy metal ions in the soil, then you can cultivate crops very easily, because in Bangladesh, arsenic is coming to our food chain through the uh, crops, because crop plants also uptake arsenic. But if it is precipitated, become insoluble, then it would be unavailable for plant uptake. So these are the strategies scientists are doing for mitigation of the salinity, saline water, as well, even saline soil. If you have such nanomaterials that precipitate the ions of sodium, potassium, and chloride, then the saline, saline soil can be easily cultivable, and you can grow the crop without toxicity of the salinity. So these two topics I discussed with you today. And if you have any question, we shall discuss a little more. And in case of nanotechnology, as it is a new technology, I expect more questions from you rather than one way delivering the talk. So please ask the question, and step by step we shall discuss more other mechanisms associated with the application of nanotechnology for the benefit of mankind. So you can ask a question, and I shall share this file with you today. Rana, you can ask now question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. স্যার মানে ন্যানো পার্টিকেল গুলো স্যার ইউজ করা হয় মেরিন ওয়াটার মানে সি ওয়াটার গুলোকে স্যার স্যালাইন ওয়াটার গুলোকে নন স্যালাইন করতে।
Yes, if we make nanomaterials, design nanomaterials in a way that can trap sodium chloride, sodium ion, chloride ion, and other ions associated with the salinity of marine water, and then you can easily separate the precipitated materials from the water. Then marine water could be drinkable. We can drink it, we can use it for the our terrestrial aquaculture, we can use it for the crop cultivation. So desalination of marine water by using nanomaterials, the principle is very important strategy. The principle has already been established. Laboratory experiments have been done, and it was successful. Now, in case of large-scale application, the important challenge is the cost of nanomaterials, and now scientist is working to make polymeric substances by using biomass and low cost materials for desalination of the marine water. This is good question.
বিনা বাংলাদেশ ইনস্টিটিউট অফ নিউক্লিয়ার এগ্রিকালচার এই বিনা স্যার আমি বিনার কথা বলতেছি স্যার ওরা যে দে প্রোডিউস salt tolerant variety.
Yes, if you can make soil free from the ions associated with the high electric conductivity, that is sodium and chloride ion in the saline soil, if you can make them precipitated largely, then no need to develop a salinity tolerance variety. Rather, you can reclaimate the water. So this, if it is economically viable, then nanomaterials could be used like fertilizer in the saline soil. But obviously, everything you cannot solve. You have to consider which one is profitable, and the effort of developing saline tolerant variety is also continue, because technology options, you have to keep several options, and in that case the economically viable one, which is cheaper and profitable, the consumer will love that one.
Bina can use nanotechnology to produce salt tolerant variety. মানে স্যার ওরা যে সল্ট টলারেন্ট ভ্যারাইটিটা তৈরি করে তারা কি ন্যানো টেকনোলজি কি ইউজ করে কিনা?
Yes.
বিনা যে ওদের সল্ট টলারেন্ট ভ্যারাইটি গুলো বের করে ওরা কি কোনো ন্যানো টেকনোলজি ইউজ করে?
They do not use nanotechnology. They use gamma radiation for making the mutation, so that plant become the tolerant to the salinity. And in that case, there are several mechanisms: exclusion of the sodium and chloride ion at the apoplast of the root hairs, so plant gets less toxicity. and the variety developed by Bina or Brie are still not enough tolerant to the high level of salinity, but they are moderately tolerant to the saline soil. And scientists still working very hard because a large proportion of our South Bengal is uh, contaminated with salinity, and it is a salinity intrusion is increasing day by day due to climate change. Upstream, our rivers flow in the dry season is become very low. As a result, saline water intrusion in the new areas are increasing. Any question, Rana?
No, sir.
Have you understood the lecture well?
Yes, sir.
Have you understood how nanomaterials can be utilized to remediate soil from the heavy metal contamination like arsenic?
Yes, sir.
You understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Because nanomaterials can precipitate arsenic. Arsenic in ionic form is the problematic because plant can uptake like phosphorus or silicon transporter, and it is toxic molecule. So if toxic molecule becomes insoluble by the application of nanomaterials, or they are precipitated or absorbed by the nano particles, not allow plant to uptake, or then we can remediate the soil. But question still remains the cost of such technology. So scientists are working on reducing the cost of the technology, and it is very very important challenge in front of us. But any technology in the initial stage is very expensive. Mobile phone, when it was introduced in Bangladesh, per minute it costed 12 taka or like that. But now you can imagine it is few paisa only. So technology, when it becomes tuned, then the price or cost would be reduced. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Rana, is it okay if I
Yes,
stop here today?
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and hope to see you next class. And I shall share you this file so that you can go through in depth, and you can also go through similar literature in the internet, as well as in the book I provided to you. Thank you very